This episode of the Towing Life podcast is brought to you by BA Products. From innovative products such as the Container Link, Tanker Tube, Frame Hook, patented 8-point tie-down, and more, BA Products is always developing products to better assist towers today and for tomorrow. Reach out to one of our BA distributors today to see how we can help elevate your towing and recovery procedures. Ready, set, go. And go. And go.
I don't even have my hat on yet. I haven't done my hair. I need to cut my hair because doing all my hair and makeup just costs so much and takes so much time.
Makeup. Get makeup in here. You take longer to get ready than my wife. And she takes a long time to get ready. I can't get my chair.
Hair and makeup is in progress. Yeah, our new bed max is out at 116. That's it. That's all she's got governed.
Don't let the government catch you.
Well, I wouldn't tell you we go that fast. Maybe it just governed out on jacks. We jacked up the rear end.
Oh, right. Yeah. Governed it out on jacks. That's what everyone does to find out what their governor said in that.
Just like I did the same thing to find out that my truck runs out of gear at 140.
Yeah. We put it up on jacks and tried it with no resistance.
Yeah. It got to 140 like that, and it just stopped.
That's the same way the companies put the stickers on that say their fuel mileage.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, TowManG, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the one Jane Wonder himself, Mr. PlainGuy. I nailed it that time. I blinking nailed it.
Wow, way to take the win gracefully. Gee, way to take the win gracefully. Jesus. What a start to the episode, ladies and gentlemen. TowManG has got to give himself an absolute pat on the back. Congratulations, G. And how are you?
I'm doing great. It's Canada Day, baby. Well, when we're recording this, at least.
Yes.
It's not coming out on Canada Day because we're not saving this episode for a full year. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. I was really concerned that we might be saving this, and I had to post-date all of my comments for a year from now, what my opinion will be. But now that I know that it's not coming out in a year, I am good to just say whatever I want, like I do every week.
I'd be careful. It's still 2020.
It's 2022.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are off to a flying start.
It's great.
Oh, before we do get into it, it is a good time to mention, before we get off track, if you have any subjects, questions, concerns, comments, anything you would like covered on the show, questions you would like answered on the show, you can let us know by emailing us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or by searching at the Towing Life Podcast on Facebook. You can find us at www.towinglife.ca. Your input and experience is always welcome. Just not head over to the website. You don't have to check all the other spots. Just head over to the website. Everything is there. We have had some amazing reach out from some fans. Thanks for the answers, the questions they've had. We've had, hey, we appreciate the show. I'm glad you guys do. I'm glad you guys keep coming back week after week, and we can bring you some level of entertainment, good, bad, or indifferent. That is what we are here for, and that is what we will continue to do until you guys say stop.
Don't say stop, please.
I was going to say that could be I could cut that and put you out on the internet
somewhere. Don't do that. No.
Oh, we're going to get TowManG canceled. If you would like to have TowManG canceled for his ridiculous opinions, feel free to sign the, what are those? What do people constantly put online? Like the change.org. Sign this petition. That's what it's called. Sign this petition to have TowManG
There's
canceled.
a petition that I do need you guys to sign, though. And that's the petition to make sure PlainGuy always remembers the YouTube side of things. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button down below and let us know if we're doing an A-OK job or not. If you didn't like it, hit that downvote button twice. Make sure you hit it twice just to be double sure that you don't like the video.
If not, it doesn't register. You got to click it twice, guys. Remember, if
Yes.
you do not like it, click it twice. I always forget the YouTube side. It is, oh, and I hear my fireworks going off. It is Canada Day officially. Do you pick that up? Are you picking that up?
I hear a slight thudding in the background.
Yeah, that is not gunshots. That is the fireworks. The reason I am not at the fireworks again is because my 92-pound death machine is afraid of loud bangs.
Oh,
So if you ever want to break into my house, it's that easy. Just bring something that makes loud noises. She will be
tell people
long
that.
gone. They don't know where I
Putting a
live.
show on the internet, man.
Yeah, you can say a lot of things on the internet. It's 2022. You can say whatever you want on the internet. Joe Rogan does it. Why can't I?
Joe Rogan's also got millions of followers.
So do we. They just don't know it yet.
I like your confidence. I like your confidence.
Oh man, yeah, that is going to be really annoying on my side, but we will do our best to get through it.
That
Hopefully,
doesn't matter.
G will have a lot of work to do in post production to solve all the noise. I also come in I come from a very cheap town, so this popping should only last about 45 seconds to a minute, and then we'll be good from there. I mean, it's
I had a
2020.
guy roll up
budget's
on a quad today at my shop, drinking a beer, mind you. And he asked me if my owner was doing fireworks again, because apparently the owner of my company always goes down to the States and brings back a just massive truckload of fireworks and
you're
sets
now
them
on
off in a
government watch
subdivision.
list. And that's how you get on government watch lists.
Yeah. Yeah. The cops don't like it, but hey, the neighborhood loves it, unless they have small dogs.
Years ago, we got in trouble. Speaking of things we shouldn't do around the yard, it was years ago, so we can talk about it now because there's got to be a statute of limitation on the stupidity of the things that we have done.
I hope so.
You ever make an oxyacetylene bomb?
Yes. I got a bad story about that, actually.
Oh, ours was a good story. Ours, we decided to play with a garbage bag and the oxyacetylene tanks and have a little fun out in the yard. And the first one we did kind of just went, puh, and it was like flames.
Yeah.
And then the next time we put a little less acetylene, a little more oxygen.
Yeah.
It lit, it went boom. The video was still on YouTube somewhere. And we had neighbors calling from a couple kilometers away. Did you hear that? Yes.
Yes, we heard it.
Really hoping that the fire department or the police, nobody is getting called looking for this explosion. You leave tow operators unattended in a yard sometimes, and they are going to come up with some very stupid things to do.
My story's a little less professional than yours. Mine didn't happen in an outdoor space. I was in high school, and this was the teacher. The teacher in the classroom part of the welding shop, not even in the welding shop, had brought the acetylene torches into the classroom, filled up a milk carton, like one of the bigger liter milk cartons, right beside me. So I'm sitting here in the next table over, sets that thing on fire. The panels in the roof jump, and my ears start ringing. My ears haven't stopped ringing, and it's been like 8 or 9 years.
I love that you said in the carton of milk with the liters, and like 70% of our listenership is going, what's a liter?
I know what a carton is, but what's a liter?
How big is that? It's like one of your weird gallon jugs. Oh, you guys want to talk about weird when it comes to milk? Do you know we have milk in a bag?
Do you need me to go to my fridge right now and get a bag of milk for you?
Yes, we are Canadian. How do you know? Because I got bags of milk in my fridge. Anyways, we are so far off topic. I want to get into something very important.
Yeah, this is a towing show,
that absolutely pisses me off about the towing industry.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that piss me off about the towing industry.
I thought we wanted to talk about more good things about the towing industry.
Well, we're going to talk about good. We're going to talk about how you guys can be more good at the towing industry. Is driving cars on to the bed, right? We're talking flatbed guys. I know I'm a big wrecker guy. I know that I prefer my wrecker. I've spent way more time lately in a flatbed than I would like to admit. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's just easier and I do enjoy it. But it's the whole driving cars on beds. There is nothing that gets to me more than when a flatbed rolls back into the yard and that winch line is pulled all the way up and sitting at the front of the bed, because I know what that means. Either they hauled equipment, which probably wasn't the case because I can see what they haul, or they were driving vehicles onto the bed.
Yeah.
And why? First question I have is why? Why drive a car onto a bed when you have a winch on your tow truck?
Why
As a
not?
guy who I feel like has driven it on many times, I feel like we're going to be on opposite sides of this.
Why not drive the car under the bed?
Why are you towing the car?
Well, someone wants it towed.
Someone wants to know why. Because there's normally a fault with it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that car?
Nope.
You don't know a damn thing about that car, other than if it's the 10th time you've towed it. And if it's the 10th time you've towed it, it's an even better reason not to drive a car under the bed.
Yeah.
You do not know. I don't want to look at this just from if it's easier, it's easier. Sure. That's the one pro I'll give it. It might be easier.
Yeah.
But when we talk about liability, damage claims, and workplace injuries, you tell me how that's actually easier.
Yeah.
Right? How long do you save driving a car onto a bed compared to winching a car on a bed? Honestly, how long do we save? By the time you winch the winch line all the way to the front, unless it's already there because the last car you drove on.
Yeah.
Right? The time you are saving is the hooking the winch line up.
Yeah. Well, getting down, if it's raining, then you got to get down on the ground. And
if it's raining is an even better reason.
Yeah.
Because your bed is covered in water and what other fluids you've absorbed that day.
Yeah.
So here's the problem. You're going to drive the car up onto the bed. You are going to put it in park, and then you are going to get out and secure it. How many things can go wrong on this? You can miss going up the bed. You can slide off to the side. You can spin the tires. You can go to lock it up. It doesn't lock up. You roll back. You can clip the bumper if you come down too quick. All that good stuff. Then you literally have to open the door, step out, and put yourself in a spot where if something were to fail, you're going to get run over.
Yeah.
Then you have to step off of your deck
on an angle, which, you're opening yourself up to slipping, falling, rolling ankles. God knows I've rolled enough ankles. Jumping out into traffic
if it's on the side of an interstate or a highway or a road. Absolutely. And then you're going to secure the car. And at any of the time before you actually, from the time you put it in park to the time you are putting some sort of securement, whether it be chain, cluster, wheel strap, you are risking that car running away and somebody getting seriously hurt or something getting seriously damaged.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying, I know guys that'll sit there and tell you over and over and over again. I've been doing it for 15 years. I've driven thousands of cars on the bed. It's never, I've never had it go wrong.
But
risk is a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
Risk is a numbers game. If it's 1 in a million, every time you do it, you get closer to that 1 in a million. If you don't have to do it, a winch is going to fail too. A winch can disengage. We've had it happen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the chances are of a winch disengaging versus a car sliding down the bed on its own, a parking pin releasing, a guy tripping or falling? I'm willing to bet that it's a lot less than any of those situations.
I've driven quite a few cars onto beds, and I will admit that it's easier and it's faster. But at the same time, let me finish. I know you want to cut me off.
No, I'll leave you go.
Anyways, every time I drive a car onto the bed, I open up that door, and that door feels 6 times heavier than what it was before because I'm sitting on the angle. And every time I put my foot out there, I'm like, if this car rolls, I'm pretty well dead, right? If this thing rolls, my leg might get sucked underneath the car and it runs over my legs, or whatever the case may be. Something bad can happen. And then I close that door and jump down. Normally I jump down and then close that door. And I put a wheel strap on. I was like, oh, nothing happened. And I got complacent, right? It's just like you see guys who have been drinking and driving their whole life, and they're old men now. They just do it out of second nature, and it doesn't faze them anymore, right? It's the same thing. Once you do something, you don't get any repercussions on it. It gets easier for you to do. 100%. And that's where I see driving cars onto bed. I worked for a company that had an absolutely policy. You do not drive a car onto the bed. It gets winched every time. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Yep. If you can't put a winch to it, you're not towing it. Yep. And I've worked for another company where they drove 90% of cars onto the bed. If they drove, perfect. And the one thing that I always think about when I drive a car onto the bed is that Jeep story that I've told on this show before when I first started towing. If I was in a rollback that day and I put my bed down and it drove, I didn't know exactly what was wrong with it. They said brakes. So I was like, okay, well, I'm driving up a hill anyways and onto my bed. I don't really need to use the brake too much because I'll be feathering the gasket up the bed. And if I did that, by the time I would have got up to the top of that bed and put the fucking thing in park, well, now I've got a 20-degree more incline on the bed, and that thing would have rolled even further down the hill.
Yeah.
Probably with me in it instead of chasing after it.
Yeah.
Right? Like bad things could have happened. And
I had a driver just this week, load a vehicle onto the bed, drove it on, brought it to the shop because he had to head out to another call. I went to hop in it to deliver it. And I look in the comments. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's wrong with the car. Driven on the bed. And sure enough, it's a leaking brake line. And driver claims that he checked the fluid. The brakes were still good. You know, they were a little spongier than normal, but they were still good. And that's where I had enough. I actually took the time to hook it onto the winch while it was on the bed before releasing it and lowering it down.
Yep.
Because, like, I'm not saying there isn't a situation where you know, the better option might be to drive a car on the bed. I'm not saying that. There is situations. You got that lowered Mercedes that I've had where the bags have let go and it is sitting an inch off the ground and you got all kinds of wood and everything else. Sometimes there is that situation where it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I won't, you know, let me make that clear because I really don't want to get shit on saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. There is not. Yes, there is. You're 100% right. There is. But it's all about limiting the chances. Again, every day that we go into the truck, every day that we stand on the side of the highway, every day that we do any of that, we are putting ourselves at risk. Mm-hmm. The whole point of our job is to limit the amount of risk that you take, right? If you are stuck in an absolute situation, you need to take a risk. Your winch line just let go, snapped, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get this cleared. Okay. But you continuously put yourself in risk, put your equipment in risk, put your customer in risk, put your company reputation at risk for things that don't have to happen. It's ridiculous. And that's what driving the car onto the bed is when you become habitual at it, right? You know, even that. Okay, well, I winched the car on the bed. I still got to get up in it to put it in park. No, you don't. I see guys with that. Oh, well, you know, I'll tow it with the, you know, 2 chains if I got the parking brake on. Stop putting the parking brakes on. First of all, where we live in Canada, you don't use the parking brake because 90% of customers have never used their parking brakes. If it's an automatic, the parking brake probably doesn't work.
I've dealt with guys who drive sticks that don't use their e-brake because it doesn't work.
Well, those guys are idiots. Normally, the problem I have is that the actual handbrake doesn't grab much. It's normally worn out. But, you know, no, I consistently, except for these new cars that are really pissing me off, and we will get into that in another episode, I will tow 95% of my vehicles on my flatbed in neutral. Yep. There's no reason to put them in park. If you are relying on that tiny little pin in the transmission, that tiny little pin, as a safety in case you do your job wrong, here's a thought: do your job right. If I'm doing that, so I'm putting it in park so I can put 2 wheel straps on, how about leave it in neutral and put all 4 on? Right? Like, it's not rocket science.
Like when I drive cars onto the bed and I get out and I always do the driver's front wheel strap first, level out the bed and then do the other 4, right? Cars in park. You get to where you're going, you do your 3 straps, you set the bed down to a load angle, and then you do the driver's front again. That click of the ratchet, my heart always skips a beat, right? Because I click it, and once that ratchet is now loose, there is nothing else holding that car. And you're like, okay, whatever, the car didn't move, you take the strap off, then you get into the car. And you put your foot on the brake, start the car, and you try to put it into reverse.
And the customer hears clunk.
Yeah. I get that when I'm trying to neutralize a transfer case on my wrecker and I've grabbed the front tires so I know it can't move anywhere and I pick it up just ever so slightly just so I know that my scoops won't pull out and I still get that bang. And I'm like, oh, because I get in my own truck from time to time if I'm parked weirdly on an angle and it always makes me cringe. And now I've got some 20-some-year-old doing it on my car on a bed. I'm going to be pretty upset. Before I was ever a tow truck driver, I got my truck towed, and I said, "Hey, man, once you get it up there, I know you're going to put it in park and drive it onto the bed because it runs and drives. Put that e-brake down because I use it. Put that e-brake down, save my parking pin." I flat out told the guy that, right? And
Or
he
he could
did.
have just winched it on.
He could have.
He could have just winched it on. All of these things, all these steps that you got to take, all these fears that you got to have, all those moments where your gut sinks, like you're talking about when you pop that last strap, are avoidable by putting a winch on. If you don't have a winch,
Caravana drivers.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I've heard they're going. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying that there isn't a situation, but it is so like it shouldn't be it shouldn't be, oh, it runs and drives, cool. The only thing that if the only thing that you winch on is a no start, in my opinion, and this, take it or leave it how you want it, you're a goddamn steering wheel holder. If that's the only thing that you winch onto your bed, now I'm sitting here from a point of privilege where synthetic rope and good equipment and everything else, and I get that. Not everyone has that opportunity. Some people are driving around absolute boxes. Well, let me tell you, if you're tired of driving around boxes, we're hiring. I won't tell you where I am, but we're hiring. Because, I hate to see it. And the leaking brake line driving a car on the bed was my last straw. That is what brought the topic to my mind this week, where I was just like, enough driving it on. If you can't be trusted to make that kind of decision on when and where it's a good time, then you're pulling them all on. Like I said, one vehicle runs away. One vehicle runs away and hits something. Let's say a $5,000 damage claim, which is minor.
Yeah.
$5,000 is you scratch the bumper nowadays.
Yep.
Your idea about it is quicker. How many more calls did you get? $5,000 worth of calls driving it on from that one?
No.
I mean, you got to do a lot of calls. I'm not talking about, how much money you can make on one call. I'm talking about actual profit lost on one, and that's on a $5,000. You talk about a $20,000, you talk about a $30,000.
And that's not even the time that it takes you to go out of your day to go assess the car, go to the shop, figure out what shop you might have to retow it to an actual body shop. And it's a lot of extra work.
You think the fire, we want to be taken seriously. We've talked about this a million times, and we want to be respected as an industry. You think the fire department, you know what I mean? Whenever they're doing something, go, well, we could just, you know what I mean? Screw taking them out of the car, cutting the jaws life. It's easier, just roll the car over with them inside. You know what I mean? You want to be a professional, take pride in your work. Taking pride in your work is doing things the proper way. There is a reason that tow trucks come with winches. The flatbeds come with winches. There's a reason that you have J-hooks or bridles on your truck. It isn't to look pretty or that one time you might need it. Those are your daily pieces of equipment. Use your equipment, take care of your equipment, be a goddamn professional. It's all I ask. I know it's a lot.
The videos of like the buying and selling trucks, the Caravana trucks, they don't have winches on those trucks. In those videos that you see of cars rolling off these beds, it's operator error, but B, they don't have that safety net, right? You always got to cover your ass in this industry and a lot of industries now. And covering your ass is doing your job properly and with your tools in your tool belt. Now, if you got your winch cable hooked up to a car, you winched it onto the bed, you get to where you're going, you take all your straps off, and as you're winching it off your bed, your winch gives way, and now that car runs down into a post, and you can go to your owner and you're like, well, the winch buggered off on me, and that's your equipment. I've taken care of it. I've greased it. Now you're not paying that damage claim because it was a fault of the equipment that's not yours.
Not fully, but yes, that is exactly it. I can tell you that if one of my drivers came to me and said, I was winching off a car, some sort of mechanical failure happened, and the car rolled and hit something. First, I'm going to see, okay, what could we have done differently? Was it an operator error? Was it a mechanical failure?
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing I'm going to do. If that same driver comes to me and says, I was driving a car under the bed and it ran away and hit a post, that driver's fired. 100%. 100%. If it's a mechanical, even if it's an operator failure, where I will be the first to admit it. I was messing around in my yard the other day. I don't know what I did. I was parked in a middle row, so a long runway. We have a good sized yard. And somehow, and I was in my bigger truck, my 20 TB, I somehow hit the free spool. And normally there's a certain amount of tension on the line when it comes to the bigger winches. A Kia Rio or whatever the hell was on the bed didn't meet that requirement. And I think the slight jolt of when I hit winch out, it free spooled. And that car went and ran away. Didn't run away that far, but it ran away. Don't know how I did it. Mistakes can happen. Accidents can happen.
You've also got the air switch on your control panel too.
I have the air switch on my, so I must have somehow got flipped up my routine. I don't know how, or I hit it
because you got the air switch and then it's the winch control, right?
Well, I have 3-stick.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, wait, no, it was on the twin. No, it would be the individual stick. So yes, it is right next to the winch control. Yeah. So I must have accidentally hit it, didn't feel it. Right, it was an operator error. 100%. I can admit that is an operator error. And it happened and the car ran away. Things are going to happen like that. But a driver comes to me and did something similar to that. How are you going to crucify them? You're going to go, all right, it was operator error. You made a mistake. Do better next time. Unless they've got a massive history of this, you're not going to crucify them for it. But if that same driver, again, says, hey, I was, doing this and the car rolled away. Well, why didn't you winch it on? I don't know about you. Whenever I load a vehicle up and it is, I follow this pattern religiously. You winch the car onto the bed. If you're doing the wheel straps, you put the tire strap on the first wheel, you strap it down, and then I leave it in neutral, level it out, do the other ones like you said. If it's something that I'm chaining down, as soon as it comes up, I've got the clusters on the ratchets. I hook the Mini J in or whatever it is that I'm using into the frame. I ratchet it tight. Now, and I bring the bed almost level on those just to be able to do the back chains. And I do the back chains up and then I finish on the front right corner and I take it off in the opposite. But I am even religious in that sense. If I pulled the chains tight, I will snap the ratchet, release it off a bit, and then re-ratchet it just enough to get the nylon lock so that it is a secondary. So if when I've got that bed and I am now under the back, unhooking a chain, even if it's just my arm sticking in to pull it out of a T-slot, right?
That drives me insane. I see that a lot where if you're chaining something down, in most of the companies I've ever worked for, I've seen it where someone winches something onto the bed, they tilt it up a little bit, and then they go and they put their J-hooks off the rear axle, and then they winch it forward to tighten it up, and then they put the front straps on. It's like you've already moved the bed, you've winched the vehicle onto the bed, your winch is the only thing holding it. I've stopped.
You're underneath the back of the tire, the back tires, or the back of the truck.
You're laying underneath that truck. I've stopped everything that I've been doing and moved customers away from just standing remotely close to the back end of my truck, right? Because that's not safe. If something happens, that vehicle can roll. And if they're standing back there, they still have a 3 to 4 second, hey, something's happening, room to jump. You're under there reaching around that back tire. You've got no time.
No, 100%. 100%. I actually had somebody stop me in a parking lot one time when I was green and gave me that. I remember I was loading an Impala. I don't know why I was chaining down an Impala. Don't ask. I don't remember. And he actually stopped me and he said, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm putting the chains on. He's like, at least in those times, throw a J on the control arm, tie it off to the front of the bed. Give yourself, you know what I mean? That if your winch lets go. Yeah. He knew the company I worked for. The equipment was good. It was good, but it wasn't great. Things happen. And even that, I don't care if you have the best equipment in the world. Things happen. Our jobs daily consist, like I said, of taking risks. Limit the risks where you can. You can't always do it, but whenever you can do. And how you can limit your risks is by finding the innovative products that you can find only at BA Products. From innovative products such as the container link, tanker tube, frame hook, and the patented 8-point tie down, and now the new air bar. BA Products is always developing products to better assist towers for today and for tomorrow. So reach out to one of their BA distributors today and see how they can help elevate your towing and recovery procedures. Support those that support your favorite podcast and visit them at www.baprod.com. That's www.baprod.com. And they will sell you all the goodies that'll help lower the risk for your job day in and day out. Cluster straps. If you haven't ran cluster straps, if you're still running just a chain with a cluster, you get these cluster straps for when you chain vehicles down. These things are a godsend. Godsend. I use them all the time.
Speaking about lowering your risk, I read this on one of the towing pages today on Facebook. I can't remember the guy's name, but if you listen to this, shout out to you. It was, if you ever want to call in the night, leave a car on your bed that's got a broken ball joint, couple flat tires, locked in park, wheels cranked, and it's got to have at least 3 out of these, the list of things. And that's how you guarantee to get a call in the night. If you want to get a motorcycle tow in the middle of the night, make sure throughout the day you get a lot of oil and grease on your deck and you don't wash it off. And that's how you guarantee to get a motorcycle tow in the afternoon or in the evening. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. We've had that, I don't know how many times, where we've got a car that's got to get delivered in the morning or whatever it is. And the guys will bring it back to the yard and they're like, do you want me to just leave it on the truck? And I'm like, no, because if you leave it on the truck, I'm going to need the truck.
Yeah.
If you take it off the truck, I'll never need the truck.
Hmm.
But it'll be that time that you leave it on will be the time that I need it. That's the rule of towing, right? That is towing summed up in a nutshell. You want to get busy in towing, make plans.
Yeah.
Make plans.
Yeah.
You want to get busy in towing? Tell your wife that you're going to be home for dinner. That's a sure way to guarantee you won't be home for dinner.
Yeah.
Right? The constant variables. That is what some of us love, and that is what some of us hate about the towing industry. And when you can learn to stop hating those moments and start embracing those moments, that is when you become a good operator.
Embrace the suck.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace the suck.
Where's that from?
In the military. I know that.
Is that what it is? Embrace the suck? Is that from the... I'm going to look it up.
I think it's from the Marines, I think.
This is why we need producer Sarah, who unfortunately isn't here today. If you guys have not noticed, if you haven't noticed, you really aren't paying attention.
Shame on you.
Yeah. If you have noticed and you're
go sit in the corner for 5 minutes while we ramble on. You deserve a timeout.
It looks like it is something to do with the Navy SEALs. Embrace the suck. So absolutely, if you want to become a good tow operator and you want to learn to enjoy it, embrace the suck.
Yeah. But you were talking about planning, and we were saying that it's Canada Day. What? I know we didn't plan anything for Canada Day this year, but we have a previous
segue either.
Yeah, I didn't plan that segue at all. Well, I overplanned it in my head and I just executed it poorly. That's normally how it works. But I seen some pictures on the Facebook in the towing pages of people doing parades and decorating their trucks and putting red and white balloons on their trucks and everything. And this is a question going out to all our viewers and listeners: do you guys do anything for the 4th of July or Canada Day? Do you put your trucks into parades, or is there anything special that you go out of your way to do? I know myself, I put a Canadian flag up on my boom. We've actually got a couple of pictures here of that. The one of me towing a car down the road. I pulled over to check that everything was all hunky-dory there halfway through the tow. And the picture on the left is I parked the truck for the evening and I decided to put the boom all the way up and leave the flag flying high overnight. That's something I like to do because it helps draw attention to the company I work for. And I got quite a few waves, quite a few people honking, a couple people cheering on the side of the road. I only got a couple of middle fingers. Now, I'm not sure if they just don't like towers or they're offended that I was flying our country's flag, but I'm not getting into that. Not
in the world we live in now, the flag has become a political weapon. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel for the amount of time it took me to get 3 zip ties and run a winch cable to my D-ring, it wasn't in my way. It wasn't a safety hazard for what I was doing today. I don't know. I saw one picture. This guy had probably 25, 30 balloons stuck to his truck and a flag hanging off the boom. That's a little bit much for me for working for the day, but a parade, that would be perfect.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know what? We actually didn't do anything this year. We kind of forgot. One of those things today, we're like, hey, we didn't even put a flag on our truck. We normally in the flatbeds will hang them up on the headache rack, covering the back window, because if you know how to use mirrors, you really don't need your back window.
Yeah.
Or we'll do something very similar to what you did with the boom, or we'll even tie it off on the side where your pylon goes up.
Yep.
It gets in the way of the dollies, gets a little greasy, but I mean, for you go to the dollar store, buy a flag for a couple bucks, you can get rid of it whenever you're done.
Yeah. You
don't need to reuse it after year and year. So no, it is nice to see. I haven't seen any of the companies today. I didn't see any of their trucks actually for the first time in a long time. We were, I want to say, quieter.
Yeah.
We weren't, you know what I mean? We weren't dead by any means, but we were a little quieter.
Mhm.
So no, anytime that you can get out and do the parades and all that, I'd be curious to that as well. You know, everyone listening, like, what are you doing? I feel like the 4th of July in the States is celebrated a lot harder than we celebrate Canada Day.
Yeah. Like it's funny. You look at other provinces, we're both in Ontario, and you see people flying the provincial flag. I can't
Who
say I've
flies a
ever
provincial flag?
a lot of people out in Saskatchewan, a lot of people out in Newfoundland, a lot of people from Quebec fly a
Nova
Quebec
Scotia,
flag,
maybe. I could.
right?
I don't even know
I
if
never see an Ontario flag ever.
all right. This is going to bring me a great time to bring up. This is going off topic, but we are going to try and make this work at the same time. If I were to pull flags up onto the screen, do you think that you could name what province they were from?
Maybe.
Okay, we're going to play a game of how Canadian is TowManG. I don't have.
Boy.
All right. I need
This is
to.
right off the cusp. I don't
Yeah,
like this. This is
This
worse than
is-
how much of a dick is TowManG.
I need to make sure that you can see it without it saying what it is. That is going to be the hard trick. I don't know if I can put this together. If not, we might be cutting out a whole segment of this show.
You're making my job harder, man.
I know, but I really want to see if you can do this. How do I make this happen? All right, G, bring up something about Canada Day while I sort this out.
Thanks. Like I know we had a guy who rented one of our freight trucks to go down into the Pride Parade, and I don't care what your stance is on it. My boss says, "Hey, it's free publicity, really. Like you've got a truck that's labeled going. This one was in Toronto, and the gentleman who actually rented the truck off of us, he was very thankful because I think we charged him throw the fuel back into the truck that you burn. And he was like, a lot of these other places where you try to go and get a float, they're charging like $4,000 to $5,000 just for a float for a parade, which is astronomical, right?
Yep.
And it's things like that where you do little things and help a couple of people out here and there, and they talk about you, and it just helps your business a lot more than what you really think. And I know in the towing industry, it's a little different because like we're a service industry. No one really thinks about us until they need us. And then it's like, oh, who do I call? Right.
Right.
So if you can get that mental image of your trucks into people's head, that's a good thing. Like, oh, I see your trucks around everywhere. That's something I love to hear people say. Oh, I see your trucks everywhere. Good. That's good because our trucks are showing up well enough to where you actually recognize them, which is awesome. Yep. And B, you think about us, right? You think about us when you don't need us. So you're definitely going to think about us when you do, right? And that's one of the reasons why I threw a Canadian flag up on my truck. A, because I'm a proud Canadian and I want to show my support. But B, it's also on the company truck, and seeing a big flag flying down by in a tow truck, the amount of people that looked and saw that it was the company I worked for's tow truck was astronomical. Plus the tourists coming up and going for fireworks displays, you're definitely getting a lot of out-of-towners as well to get a hold of everything. Oh, here we go.
All right, we figured it out. There's no names or anything listed on it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm actually a little confused. I don't think that's all the flags. I think we're missing some flags.
No, I think that's everything.
How many provinces? This is such off the cuff.
You don't know how many provinces we have?
I don't remember. No, there is definitely a flag missing right away. I can tell on that. Perfect. Okay, so I do on a second screen have a picture of the flags and what they are
all
from.
Right.
We are going to start from the top left and go across.
Okay. Well,
So
I need to make
left.
this bigger so I can see.
Okay.
All right. So the top, we got the Canada flag.
Okay. Yeah, if you can't get that one on
top
Canada
left
Day,
is Saskatchewan, the prairies. Then followed by Ontario.
100%.
Followed by, this one's the hard one. I want to say PEI.
That is correct. I would not have gotten that one. So absolutely, that is Prince Edward Island.
Okay. And then we've got the Newfie flag for Newfoundland, Labrador.
I don't know if
Followed,
called the Goofies in 2022.
followed by Quebec.
Yep.
Now we're getting into some of the other ones that I'm not 100% sure of. The one with the boat. What's the one with the boat?
The one who would possibly have a boat in their flag. Silly boat people.
British Columbia.
No, that is not British Columbia. That I would have gotten right. It is New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Okay.
New Brunswick.
Well, I got the B right.
Okay.
What's the next one then?
Oh no, what is the next one? We've got a blue. It's got an English cross in it. I think it's an English cross. I can't really tell what the other stuff
It
is.
doesn't look like an English cross.
At the top, the red cross and the white.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's. I thought you meant the Union Jack, which we also have quite a few here.
No, that's not an English cross.
Yeah,
Take a shot, Dick. There's only a couple more provinces left.
What?
There's only a couple more provinces left. So take a shot.
I don't know.
Okay, that is the Alberta flag.
Alberta. Okay.
I'm actually more disappointed that you didn't know that one.
Yeah, me too. That's Alberta. Those are my people.
All right, and then to the right of that, I will give you a hint. It is not the land of the rising sun, but is the land of the setting sun.
The land of the setting sun. It rises in the east, sets in the west. So that would be British Columbia.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And now, do we have another?
That's another Ontario flag.
Actually, no, you are incorrect. That is the Ontario flag. The first one, which I can't believe I didn't catch on to that, is not the Ontario flag.
Oh, what's the first, or what's the second one then?
So the second one is the Union Jack with the same shield, but it's got actually the
looks like a bison.
Maple Leafs. Yes, the first one has a bison in it.
Yeah.
That is the Manitoba flag.
Oh.
And
yeah,
then
they're always trying to steal from us, you know. They're looking similar. They're just trying to ponder off Ontario's fame and fortune, I guess.
Absolutely. And then there is one next to it. Now, do you want to take a guess on the three? Those are going to be the tough last three.
The last one is Nunavut, I think.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So the one next to the Ontario flag, I'm going to go with Yellowknife.
Yellowknife is not a province.
No, sorry. The other territory. Yukon?
Yes. Next Ontario flag is the Yukon.
Yeah. Followed by, what's the only province left that we got?
Well, it's not a province. And there's actually still a province that's missing. But yes, there's one province that is not on this map for whatever reason. We didn't include them. But it is a territory. It is the Northwest Territories flag.
Northwest Territories.
And what isn't on there, which is what I talked about, the one flag that I knew, is the Nova Scotia flag. And I don't know why it's not on this picture.
Yeah.
And maybe it was in a scroll down section that I didn't notice or something. But yes, the Nova Scotian flag. I don't think I forgot any of the provinces. But yes, it is Saskatchewan.
But see, the flags that you see the most of is Saskatchewan, for me at least. Yeah, obviously the Newfoundland flag, and Ontario a little bit, but honestly, I don't see any of these other flags throughout my day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year.
There is no reason to. The BC one had me a little off. There's a couple flags in there that I would not have got. Like, I would not have gotten Prince Edward Island.
No.
Even though it looks like a little mini island on the goddamn flag.
Yeah, that's what made me think Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, yeah, no, you
failed
Canadian history today. Celebrating Canada Day, celebrating the 4th of July. I hope every one of you had a safe weekend in doing so by the time this episode comes out. Yes. I hope you got to spend time. I hope you got to show your country pride. And don't forget to show your country pride in the comments. We will do on this week coming up, we will do a poll of Canada versus the US and see who comes out and represents. So be sure to check this out on Wednesday.
That's not fair. 80% of our viewers are from the States.
No, let's Canadians show up and show out. Let's see where
us Canucks. We need to share these videos and share our channel far and wide to all our other Canadian towers.
Our Facebook followers could be more Canadian. We don't know. We will find out when we launch the poll this week.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I'm going to light my own fireworks out in the backyard. If you hear more sirens coming, if we leave the recording open, you know it is the fire department coming. If I don't talk to you again, it's because I burned the house down.
Okay, send me your address quick so I can get them on speed dial.
Sounds good to me. Why don't you go ahead and take us out on that note, and we will see you guys all next week.
Well, thanks, guys, for coming out week in, week out. It's an honor to put on this show, so I just want to thank you guys for being here. With that being said, I hope you guys had a safe weekend, and we'll see you next week. Toodles.
Take care. You suck, and I'm so happy we pulled up those flags. That was such a good little side idea.